This is To Wit, a podcast for women in tech doing life. I'm Melinda Smith.
And I'm Kristi Guzman. Hello, everyone.
Hi, friend. Oh, and everyone.
Oh, that's so funny. I was one of the other podcasts I was listening to. They were like, oh yeah, we say hi to each other, but we could say hi to everyone. So apparently I just did that and didn't tell you. So hello.
I like it. I like it. I'm on board with your mystery.
That's really, I'm super mysterious. So, we are Salesforce lovers. You may have heard us recently on the Button Click Admin podcast, nerding out about Salesforce. Clearly we're Salesforce nerds, but there's got to be something, Melinda, that is not your favorite. Even if things are your favorite, there's something about that.
Yes. This can be a pseudo two-part. So,
True confessions.
I said this recently that I didn't know if Salesforce was the best solution for this particular subject. So, and it might be my newbiness to implementations and consulting, but I had two instances last year that were like medical or like a clinic rehab type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole referral situation, I just built it two different ways and they both just didn't seem awesome.
Okay.
Like referring out and referring in and tracking that on either a junction table or just a lookup. And it just, I don't know. I just didn't like it. I felt like it was too many clicks. I felt like if I were the user, I'd be super annoyed.
Okay.
And I just felt like for that medical solution or when somebody needs these extra things, unless you did like a whole flow, there's too many clicks. At least for that situation. So that was I secretly was like, ugh, I don't think we should do this.
But do you think there's like, it's not that it's a Salesforce thing, right? Like, do you think there's another place that would be easier?
I don't know.
The structure that was getting in your way, or just you couldn't like?
It just seemed like too many steps.
And
every way I built it seemed like some wonky step. So again, that might be just new, and all of our developer friends are massively rolling their eyes so much that they switched lanes in their car. Sorry. But yeah, that's my, I really just didn't like it. I didn't like the length of clickage.
I feel like for me, I've just been fighting with permissions a lot lately. And I think there's so many, it's like the catch-22, right? That you've got the wonderful granularity that only this person can see this solution or only this person, so in this case, it's like when you create new article types for knowledge, on the permission side, they basically become like an object, right? So you have to search for the word like FAQ. And then I gave her like full cred to well, not really, because it was just create and read. So, well, actually probably just read. Really, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But I thought I did it. And it's like, oh no, you missed this one check, and then it just felt like not obvious. And then somebody else needed to do something. And it's like, you have permissions to that, but they didn't have modify all, or just like some little gotcha that I feel like it keeps coming at me. And it's interesting how that builds up, that you can see that we've also got permission sets because somebody started down that path, which is good, and then we need to clean up profiles. But that's the kind of like work that is hard to explain, like don't talk to me all day because I need to clean up profiles. Like it just doesn't, priorities wise, it doesn't happen when I'm like, oh, I need to build this new thing to do a workflow, and I need to add these new fields, but only to this layout, and I need to do new fun things, right? Instead of the homework. Mm-hmm. So I've just been struggling with permissions a little bit recently, and everyone probably has different tips and tricks and tools and extensions and all kinds of different things they use, but I just sometimes wish it was easier to be like, why? Beep, and like get an answer.
You could just Google your own org.
Right? Why is this happening?
It's Speaking of, do you have a Salesforce bad habit?
A Salesforce bad habit.
For example, I have a really bad habit of if I have gone this certain route to get to object, record, or whatever, I just stay that course. It came up recently. I was on the phone with my boss. We were doing a screen share, and I knew how to get to this one thing. And he's like, "Oh, well, if you just change apps, it's the first tab." And he's right. And I've been like this all the time. I cannot tell you how many times people will be like, there's like literally four easier steps, but I get into it like a robot autopilot. This is how I get to this tab.
And you get, I was just talking to somebody about in terms of training. So we had somebody switch departments. So people are taking over this role. And I personally, and this probably gets into some kind of like what kind of learner you are. I don't want you to tell me click here and then click there and then click there and merge those two and then do this thing and then be done. I want to know like, okay, so this happens. And so the reason we have to do this is because of that. And then that way, if I forget, then it's kind of like, why was I doing? Oh, because marketing needs to track this. So right. I have to add the right campaign for blah, 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 so I like the reasoning, but sometimes people are just like, especially when you've been doing something so long and it's hard to explain it to other people. Like you say, there's a lot of things where there's different ways to get to the same end result. But I think it's funny because I think it's hard to let people do things their other way and not correct them when they're not wrong. Because technically your way isn't wrong. It might be 2 seconds more inefficient, I guess, but there's plenty of ways to do everything, right? So maybe some people don't like inline editing, and I forget to explain to people what I'm doing when I do inline editing,
right? Instead
of clicking in full edit and then changing everything at once. And like you say, it's my habit, right? So maybe at some point, if I'm editing 3 or more fields, it's easier to just click edit and make changes and save. But I'm just a double clicker. Hello, my name is Kristi, and I'm a double clicker.
Hello, Kristi.
Once upon a time.
Admitting it is the first step to recovery, step one. Isn't it? Something like that. As we both take a drink.
Hey, cheers to the last little bit of wine that I have in my house.
I was searching desperately for wine. My husband is right between he starts his new job with the new flight company, airline, flight company. Anyways, it's a charter. Yeah, a charter airline. So this last week, he's been home and we've just been kind of enjoying a little bit of downtime before like my big project starts and all. So I looked at the fridge. So I was like, oh, I have a beer for the podcast. So I was like, we literally have nothing. The only thing in there is that lone beer that everyone hates. It's the accidental purchase. It's like a jalapeno cilantro saison. Ew. Wants that in their beer. And then he comes walking in the door with a little 4-pack of Guinness. And I was like, you are the best.
Your mental message. He got the beer bat signal.
Yeah. Well, and tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. Help to give it a little time frame when we're recording, which is one of my favorites. It has always been, on one hand, I want to say, oh, it's just so much fun. But I think it was, especially when I was younger, just a fun day to day drink because when you're like in your 20s, you're more of everyone wants to like go out, go to the club, blah. And this day has always been like, I plan for it, like completely do this, wear the silly things and the silly socks and the silly hats. And I used to take off work, in the early 20s, we would be at Fido's at 7:30 for an Irish breakfast and a car bomb. And then Denver's I think they're in like the top 5 for parades and festivities.
Yeah.
This town just really loves it. So it's such a fun atmosphere. It's easy to like kind of get caught up in it. And it's not like I'm the sole person being all extra celebratory. Everyone is like, okay. Yeah, this crazy girl. No, people are bananas. Yeah. I love it. I'm excited. This year was a little weird because it's always the Saturday before that Denver does the parade and the festivities. But since St. Patrick's Day is on a Friday, it's like a full week prior.
Right.
So we're going to do a little fun stuff tomorrow. And I didn't do too much fun stuff this weekend because, didn't organize having someone watch the kiddo, which is fine. But I do. I just really, I don't know, for no good reason. I have no historical or genealogical link to St. Patrick's Day. Nothing
Yeah.
like that. I mean, my mom's maiden name is McDonough, but I'm not sure if that's either Scottish or Irish. Like,
It's
I
something.
have no claim to it, but she always loved the holiday too. So it's just one of those silly, fun things that you get to be silly for a day and I don't know, drink
I
Guinness
mean,
and have fun.
it's a good reason just to be happy for no reason and have a good time. I have a friend whose last name is Green, so it's her personal favorite holiday.
Yeah.
The Whitewater Center here also does. They have the naturally out. Man, I'm so articulate. They have a way of turning the river green that is natural. It's not like dye. It's some kind of algae or something that they can do to the water that turns the water green. So this is the U.S. National Whitewater Center where like the rapids there are where they like train for the Olympics and stuff. They have like rock walls and trails and beer, coincidentally.
Ah,
And yeah, I did a mustache run there, 5K, 6K. I was absolutely last. Like that is not a joke. I had a chip in my shoe and I was literally last, but I did it and then I had beer and it was a great time. So, I think St. Patrick's Day is not super big on my list, but it's a great reason to hang out without some of the expectations that I think other holidays can have.
100%. There's really no, I'm not religious, so there's no any of that like potential of some family like wanting to, some want to go to church, some don't, or there's not a present exchange, or there's not some crazy expectation on, like New Year's Eve and Valentine's. It needs to be the most romantic ever. Bleh. It's just fun. It's just silly and fun. And, Denver does it really well. Chicago's on my bucket list. I feel like I've heard that. I don't feel like it's actual facts. They do it really well. They turn the river green, and I definitely want to get to that. But yeah, so I'm excited. I don't know what's really on the agenda for tomorrow because I
Charlotte
think
has,
you can
I think,
celebrate.
one of the world's largest pub crawls. Last weekend they had it, and they
What?
sell shirts for it and stuff.
Why didn't you tell me
The
this?
country's largest. I didn't realize before today that this was such a big thing to you.
I need a link. I need a link right now prior to show notes.
Okay,
Tell me all about it.
I'll look at that, but I can't talk and type at the same time because I can't remember the name of it. So,
All right.
so instead, we're gonna give you a little quiz.
Ooh.
So I attended Sandler sales training, and you might be thinking, Kristi, you're not in sales. I will tell you, I work for a Salesforce partner, so everyone's in sales, but I also got moved I report up through the sales team. So technically sales operations kind of, but I also do stuff for other departments, et cetera, et cetera. Salesforce is a weird thing to put anywhere. So one of the great things, I tried to translate some of the concepts to my life, right? And things I do as a user group leader, just in personal life. And there was a really interesting part about goal setting. And so this is where the quiz part comes in. So I have a list of 7 things, and we're going to prioritize them. Are you ready? It's going to be a fun time. So
I'm ready.
Family or financial?
Okay, so those are the categories.
Rapid fire. Just go. Pick.
No, I don't think I understand the game.
Prioritize. These are some of the values that you can use to prioritize what goals that you're setting. So it's going to be a series of decisions, and then you'll end up at 1, and then you'll make the series of decisions again, and you'll end up at number 2.
Okay, so I say which one I want more.
Yep.
Which
To you right now, which value is a higher priority? So family or financial?
Family.
Family or health?
Health.
Health or business?
Health.
Health or spiritual?
Health.
Health or community?
Health.
Health or social?
Health.
Okay. Family or financial? We're going to keep going.
Family.
Family or business?
Family.
Family or spiritual?
Spiritual.
Spiritual or community?
Community.
Community or social?
Community.
Family or financial?
Family.
Family or business?
Family.
Family or spiritual?
Spiritual.
Family or spiritual or social?
I think we did this all right. Spiritual.
Nope, because we used community last time.
Oh.
So every time one comes out.
It's like a Salesforce.
We may have to cut this out if this is boring, but we'll have the end result and then we can just speed up us talking right now.
Right.
Family or financial?
Family.
Family or business?
Family.
Family or social?
Family.
Financial or business?
I guess I should probably later we'll talk about maybe the difference there. I'm going to go with financial.
Okay.
Because in my head we're saying business like I own my own business. So that's
financial security and money in the bank, or your work at Blue Wolf?
Financial.
Okay. Financial or social?
Financial.
Business or social?
Social.
So what that does, I have Post-its I'm playing with, by the way, if you can hear me playing with them. So this starts you thinking about prioritizing your values and time. So you ended up at health, community, spiritual, family as your top 4. So then the next step is setting specific goals. And he had some really interesting either theories or facts about documenting goals. Why do you think people don't document goals?
Well, this sounds totally complimentary. I do. So I'm guessing that people don't write them down so they don't have to be held accountable later. Yeah. Or you don't see it in your face. Like I like Post-its and lists. So if you don't see it all the time, then it's easy to be like, I got busy. Life. Yeah,
I think fear of failure, conflicting priorities, and that's why I think this kind of helps, right? Because, so what I found when I did it, they talk about setting goals in the top things that you're saying are more important to you, right? That those are the bigger areas for setting goals. I kind of looked at the converse of that to think maybe my health should be a higher priority. That ended up being 6 out of 7 for me.
For you too?
Mm-hmm. Well, health ended up as number 1 for you.
Well, and here's why, and I'm sure you can extrapolate, is especially when you've lost someone to like cancer and stuff. I can't do anything if I'm not healthy. I can't be here for my family. I can't work. I can't do shit without your health. Well, so yeah, I mean, it's always it's going to take priority over family because if I'm not healthy, I can't take care of my family.
But what's interesting about that, and again, why I say like, do you prioritize your goals around the top values or the bottom values? I fundamentally know that. And yet since Whole30, like off the rails with eating, right? Like, and so should that be a higher priority? And even if I conceptually know that, how do my actions support that? And is that because I'm not documenting them? Just food for thought. This isn't like trying to shit all over myself or anything.
No.
But it kind of helps you decide where to start and remembering that everything is trade-offs, right? So maybe you're not right now going to get all the way down to value number 7 and the goals that you have there. But by setting some specific goals, by adding some behaviors plus results, so like what's going to get you there and what's the end result you want, I just found it really interesting about then thinking about goals from that perspective as opposed to just like the whole ether, right? It just kind of breaks it down into short term, long term. And so I really want to do this with my husband because I think we assume that we're on the same page about certain things, but like adulting is hard. Yeah. And so I think to have a guideline of one interesting thing you mentioned was about Parkinson's law, work expands to meet the time allotted. So I think we all tell ourselves that we have a lot going on, and we do, but you make time for the things that are your priorities. So how do you make sure that your priorities align with your goals and values, right? So not what I expected to learn from a sales training, Hopefully interesting to someone else but me. It was
Do
an
you think
interesting
that
idea.
I think it's awesome. And I think that there's so many of those sales things too that can translate into just normal life too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that rah-rah stuff. Um, do you think that too, some goals, they seem like the steps seem hard to get to? For instance, if you say one of my top priorities is to get Sales Cloud certified, that's fairly tactical. You got your steps and you do it. But if it's like, I want to be more financially responsible, or I want to be healthier, or it's just it's a vague goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's easy to be like, yeah, I want to be healthier, or I'd like to lose 5, 10 pounds, whatever,
Who
my husband.
wouldn't?
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Like, and then what? And then, but if you don't, it's so hard to set up those kind of things like healthier. What does that mean? What do I have to do every day? And I have to stick to that every day. And for those, I feel like it's never ending. You get a certification, you're done.
Right.
I mean, with the exception of the release, but you know what I mean? Some of those goals that I think seem overwhelming is maybe why we don't prioritize them, because there's no freaking end game. You don't get to the your health apex and you're like, and I'm good.
Well, and I think that gets into some of what we talked about documenting and having people hold you accountable, but it's also about getting to the why of defining chunks that are attainable and measurable. So it isn't just I'm going to be better, which, to be honest, some of the goals, we'll look back at an episode eventually and look at, we said we'd do some things this year, and are we, and those kind of things. But even some of those, I think, are a little bit more like big picture, right? So then how do you measure success there? And how do you, to me, it's about making decisions toward those things. Like, I should be thinking, do I want to do the work I said I'd do? Or do I want to watch TV? Or do I want to read a book? Well, if, maybe my health is important to me, so I do want to go to bed. Those kinds of like guiding principles, I guess, to help you make decisions. So I've been kind of thinking about that. I haven't made a whole lot of progress in setting those goals, but I think it helps to kind of define those values to see, and maybe you'll surprise yourself when you kind of have that, or like you had a moment where it was like, maybe both.
Yeah.
And to think about, then do those things end up next to each other? Or once you've discounted it against one thing, it kind of falls to the end. So I thought it was an interesting exercise.
Can we access that online for free, or?
I will check. I assume so. They blog about some of the different concepts, so I'm sure there's something. We'll show note it up.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. The
You
little
can have
matrix.
my Post-its, but
We'll scan those in.
I have good handwriting, so you can actually read it.
Oh, I envy you.
One last quote I wrote down on this page, and I think I tweeted during the training. Are you living your life by default or design? I think that's really interesting, because there are definitely times
I like that.
I feel like I'm living by default, living like the minimum viable product, right, of getting through the day. But then suddenly a year passes, right? So how do you live with more intention? I am not giving advice because I don't think I succeed at this, but
do you feel like there's an ebb and flow? Like,
sure.
There are times that you're like, man, I am just getting by because it's really all I can do. And other times when you're like, man, everything is really great. I'm doing exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, I also think it's tough in the short term sometimes to think about, like, this day is a minute in my life. Like, it's not the be-all, end-all of a phase. But if it's a year, right, then it's different. So trying to gauge, have I not wanted to, do I never choose exercising over fun things? Do I never do these things, or does it just feel like that today, I guess? So
right.
Trying to keep it in perspective. Real deep thoughts over here from Kay Goose.
Deep Thoughts by Kay Goose. I like the quote. Let's see if I get it right.
You won't.
The days are long, but the years are short.
I mean,
oh, that's true.
put it on a t-shirt.
Done.
But also not a measurable goal, right? Like not a okay, yes, what do I do with that? Like remember it, put it on a t-shirt.
Put it on a t-shirt. I am a fan of, I have a piece of paper that I add to, and I've had at all of my cubicles or quotes that I like.
Okay.
I like things that are designed to, make you feel good or make you look inside and try and make others feel good. And I don't know.
But do you feel like it loses some of the, I don't know, sometimes when people are, pinning the motivational photo.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like it's not disingenuous, but just.
No, I get it.
It loses the, like when you have the note to yourself to turn the heater off before you leave for the day, and then it just becomes part of the wallpaper.
It does. No, I 100% agree. I will be completely hypocritical that I have unfollowed people on Twitter that do nothing but quotes because I'm like, ugh, what's your quote of the day?
Have an original thought.
Right. Not everything is inspirational. I'm going to have a normal life and do my normal thing. And then sometimes things are inspirational. But no, I agree.
Although by this point, it may be released a recording of Motivation Monday from Map Anything. How many M's can we put in that sentence?
Also my nickname when I was in grade school.
Motivation Monday was your nickname?
MMM.
Oh.
It's an alliteration for Motor Mouth Mindy.
Oh, well.
You're welcome.
Of course. And I talk about a quote that is something my dad wrote in a birthday card and why I think about it. So, although I don't have quotes up in my cube. I do have your cute little face with a picture with me in there. There's one in my office here too, so you're just watching me.
I am.
All the time.
Looking over you. So I'm just going to switch gears with absolutely no smoothness. Let's talk about spring. Two things. One, the season, because it's amazing.
The what?
And two, the season.
Oh, sure.
And then two, I just did the Trailhead Spring 17 because I don't know what was going on. I couldn't make. I didn't find a release party here.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of really cool stuff coming out in Spring 17. I'm very excited about it.
Have you seen the great comparative document about lightning features for spring and beyond? So Leanne Tippelman just linked to it on Twitter recently. It's been really interesting. So it's got in the past they had kind of gap analysis, and this structures it more toward, is it released in spring, planned in summer, maybe even planned in one other release, or like future. There's no never. But it's a great, like you say, I think a lot of gaps are closing more and more every release. I feel like I say that. But this details some specifics about things you may not have realized came out already, plus some things that are going to come out. So I think we were fortunate to see some of the spring features live when we were in Tahoe at the lovely keynote. Yep. And so I think that helped because sometimes those release notes can be daunting, man.
That's why I love the user groups. And I've just discovered recently too with doing Trailhead and studying for some exams that I struggle to stay focused while reading. I really do like the videos or in person. I don't know if that means that I'm like ADD or what, but I'm not going to sit down and read the release notes. I would love to. I used to be the person that would like read my new camera user guide, and I'm just not anymore. I'll read like 5 paragraphs, and I'm like, ooh, I should check Twitter. Ooh, that made me think of this. Let me Google this for no good reason. Oh my God, they said the word blue. I was like, blue makes me think of blue chips. What should I make for dinner? I'm going to Google that. Like I like the in-person and the videos for it. But yeah, we'll link to the document. But there's a lot of cool Lightning stuff coming out, a lot of cool console stuff coming out. I hope I get to play with it a little bit more. This big project that we're putting on, I don't know yet if it's going to be Lightning or not. I really, really hope so. And we shall see. I will keep you updated.
All right. I will tune in for that. I think I'm excited. There are some great features in spring. Related list as an individual component I'm pretty excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And the badge was fun. I feel like there's some things I had learned that weren't in the badge, but there's great. I am just thankful for people like Jen Lee and Rakesh Gupta and probably plenty of other people that read through all of that and pick out the gems for me.
Yes.
And then
Oh, yes.
I get like the Cliff Notes version from other people. And they do it so fast. I don't even know. It's amazing to me.
They're really good. And like you said, thank you for them, because it sounds like she doesn't Google what to make for dinner because of the word blue. So
She is very focused and wonderful, as is Rakesh. So yeah, I really like that it's it is tough though, because like you say, I think sometimes it's easy to focus on the thing you need to do right now and not stop to take the time to think about what could you do with these new features when there's a lot going on.
sometimes it's hard if you're not working in any of those features or lightning in your org. It's kind of you when we're like, yeah, all right.
Well, and if you're not
nice
a consultant, like you have as a consultant, and you're focusing mainly on one project, but you get some variety, so you have to kind of think outside the box for different solutions. Versus kind of owning one org and living and breathing in that. So a little bit, there's wins on both sides.
It's wins. And speaking of spring, is there any springtime activities or crafts or things that you like to do?
I mean, drinking on patios.
Oh, I know. We're so same. I love that.
Is up there when it's nice outside.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, like, yes, being back outside, but I say that except I don't live somewhere that it snows a lot, that I've been, like, legit hibernating. I wore, like, a light jacket, so that it's all suddenly, yay, I can go sit outside. It's not like...
This windbreaker sucks.
I know. Ugh, I've had to drink my beer indoors. So getting... just to hang out and casually be out, I think will be really nice. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I think it also helps from a social aspect that people do come out of hibernation a little bit and, seek out making plans, which is good for my social goals. It's my second highest value.
Ooh.
Social.
And your first one was health, right?
Family.
Then
health
social.
is at 6. So that's why I don't choose myself very often, apparently. What do you like to do in the springtime?
Same thing. Spring here is a little bit different than, the last 3 years in California. It was kind of like forever summer. Nothing seemed to change. It kind of felt like a really good version of Groundhog Day. But here it's good, but Colorado's a little fickle. So it's been like 70 something all week, and then we'll get like a blizzard. We usually get a big, huge snowstorm in April, March and April. So, but it's nice. The neighbors are out. We walked to the park yesterday. We walked around Red Rocks and did the stairs. And same with you. I just like to be outside again. I just like to, not have on 40 layers or want to, and daylight savings. So like it's lighter later. So it's nice. And
yeah, except that yesterday
I have to go to bed.
I was at work and I was like, wait, it's 6:30. Like, what's happening? But it was just quiet and I was getting stuff done and I didn't realize there was no darkness.
Yeah, it's nice. I like all of it. Though, I mean, if I had to vote, I would say no more daylight saving, just because the time change has been really rough for some reason this go round.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to get out of bed.
I mean, the losing an hour side is always harder than the gaining an hour side.
For sure.
You were talking a little bit about features that you aren't as familiar with, or it's hard to kind of learn about. I actually submitted a speaking request, and I think we talked a little bit about this last time with Kelly, about lightning pages, to see not only if that's interesting to people as a topic to develop, but also because I want to get better at it. And so that would kind of forced me to do that. So that was to a regional event. And I think those are a great way to kind of build up your skills. So by the time this releases, it will be like during Southeast Dreamin'. So you shouldn't be listening to it because you should be there. But I think that that's a really great way to kind of stretch your wings in the
How many
community.
times have you spoken and where?
I have spoken at like my own user group. And I spoke at Dreamforce last year as part of a panel talking about our favorite apps, and also co-hosted a demo jam. And of course I get on stage at Southeast Dreamin' and do the welcome before the keynote. Other than that, I've definitely volunteered. Like, I remember my first Boston user group. So this is like 8 years ago. And I had built this custom object to track my job that I had taken over. And they asked for someone to get up and show them something. And I was like, okay, and so in the end, I don't know if that's what they were looking for, but I was a new admin and it was my first custom object. And that concept was pretty great. So not like officially speaking or anything, but it's something that I'm definitely pursuing more this year. Just trying to find the right topic to talk to people about, that people want to listen to me about.
As a person that has submitted abstracts and as a person that receives them, what makes a good abstract? Obviously, this is a leading question because I want to talk about me. I want to submit to speak. I think I'm finally in a place where I feel like I could do that at a regional event or at Dreamforce. The whole imposter syndrome, the gremlin gets on your shoulder that, like, what are you going to talk about? This last Dreamforce, I co-submitted with Adam Olshansky, and it wasn't picked up. But I want to make a bigger push for it, but I don't even know, like, what's a good topic? How do you pick that? What's a good abstract? What are you looking for? What are they looking for? How do I be like you?
To be fair, I submitted jointly 4 sessions for Dreamforce and got 0 of them picked, but I know someone who asked me to be on a panel. So that partnership worked out really well, but I don't quite know yet because I haven't gotten picked either. But I think it's about just looking at some of the regional event ones. I think it's about thinking either what you'd want to hear about or really authentic stories that you have or can gather and share. I think it's a matter of, it is tough because it is kind of, you have to kind of write it well that it catches someone's eye from a name perspective or from the description perspective. And I know that Mike and Jillian did a video and have some great resources about how to get selected for Dreamforce. Again, there's such a narrow sliver of people that got selected. I also want to emphasize that even for Southeast Dreamin', we ended up with, I think, over twice as many sessions as we needed. And we posted actually about how we pick sessions. So we had individual people blind deciding and then kind of melded those together to make a score and then had to fit them into the space that we had. So it's a tough thing, especially when I'm picking about things that I know nothing about, but we had a developer as well who knows what JSON and blit, 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 like all these things are, so that he could help with those. But you also have to think about something that's not so narrow that it isn't applicable. So I, for a while, was submitting a session about record types, like love them or hate them, use them or don't use them, pitfalls and management of them, and, that kind of stuff. And either it's not being well received or I haven't really represented it well, and I haven't really gelled it in my head either, maybe. So I think there could be a lot of things that can play into it, from timing, and even the same session in different scenarios, maybe or maybe not. So
Do you have tracks you're doing at Southeast Dreamin', or you just grabbed ones that sounded like people would want to hear?
We did ask for like the primary audience so that we could make sure that there was a blend, not only for developers and admins and even maybe like end user C-level kind of, but also just so that from a scheduling perspective, we don't put all the admin sessions at the same time and then you have nothing to do. You'll have plenty to do, but from the other side of things. So just helps us to kind of, so yes, that technically does mean that maybe you were more likely to get selected maybe if you submitted a developer session because there was less and we wanted some balance. Sure. But I think you also want to make sure that things are authentic, right? And so we did select, in our case, with no names. So
okay.
Once we did select things, we did look at names and tried to evaluate if some of the repeat speakers, if we, valued one topic over another to give more people an opportunity.
Sure.
But other than that, ended up with a good variety. And I think, like I say, it's tough because maybe it is something that's interesting to me, but not to the other two. And so then it didn't end up with as many points. And so depending on how far down you get, and the size of the event, right? So we have 6 different rooms as well as a collaboration room for some mini hacks and code coverage review, kind of conversational things if there's nothing you want to attend. So
is that a collaborate and listen room?
I don't know what to call it. You should think collaboration station.
Collaborate and listen.
Yeah, but there's no like speaker.
Well, you have to listen to collaborate.
That's
You're
true.
blowing it.
Stop.
I am. It's like a softball joke.
Stop.
You're like,
collaborate and listen. No, I've been trying to think of a punny name for it, and I'm not feeling super punny. What do you is there anything that holds you back from? I mean, I feel like you submit, and worst case, you don't get picked, and that's you were anyhow.
That's an easy answer. I think that I'm submitting something stupid, or nobody wants to hear it, or I'm not developer enough, or blah blah blah. And that's your own gremlin that you got to flick off the shoulder. But yeah, I'm definitely just after things that we talk about and imposter syndrome and Sam's article, her blog recently. It's just like, screw it, F it. I'm gonna put it out there, and like you said, worst case scenario, they don't pick it. No worse for the wear.
Well, and there's just a certain market for things like you mentioned for
totally.
Witness success, that you're looking more for professional growth type of sessions.
Yes.
Whereas Guillermo reached out to me about the Southern California event and submitting for that, and they're looking for more how-to hands-on sessions. So, and Forcelandia technically has a little bit more of a developer focus maybe it's also finding the right place for what you want to do. As MVPs, we can be selected to speak at user groups. So if there's something that you are passionate about, you can kind of put that out there to someone.
No, you're right. Like you were talking about the thing that Guillermo's putting together. When I was still in Southern California, I was going to be a part of it. There is like, let's teach and hands-on. Like, I love that kind of stuff. And then with Witness Success, I definitely encourage any of our listeners too, if you feel like I have felt like, oh, I'm not technical enough, or I don't know what I'm going to do. All of our sessions are about growth and development and personal development. And we'll have probably, I think we might give a name to the tracks, and we're vetting that out, but it's not technical. So we're not going to have sessions on building lightning dashboards. It's going to be workshops and role playing and how to negotiate a salary, or things that maybe people have submitted that they've struggled with. So definitely encourage our listeners, when that comes out for call to speakers, don't immediately brush it off like, nope, I have anything. Like, get in there and let's talk about balance, or let's talk about how you put health at number 2 instead of 7, or you know what I mean? So I'm interested. I'm not interested. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how the sessions pan out, because our whole goal is to make them different.
And I think it's an interesting point too to think of. I had thought this year about looking for a non-Salesforce specific event. That there's other things, right? What? I went to TEDx in Charlotte, and it's interesting how things start to overlap, right? And so maybe what you want to talk about, if it's about work-life balance, if it's about whatever it might be, maybe there's another forum that's more appropriate for it, as well as if it's Salesforce. I mean, obviously, it's just about using Salesforce that limits your market a little bit, but how can you turn that into something you do for Trailhead, for the Girl Scouts, like Brian James, Trailhead for All kind of things. So you've got some different options beyond just the Dreamins and Dreamforce,
True.
That's still kind of the trophy a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see what shakes up this year.
I want to do some more Trailhead for All as just a random side note. Now that I'm here, I'm like, ooh, how do I give back to this community? Did Trailhead for All, and I had, the Women in Transition program, and I'm still kind of helping them with their .org. I might have to pass it off because I feel like they need someone to sit with them in the office and talk about things, and clearly I'm not there. But I feel like without what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I don't have a nonprofit I'm working with. Yeah, a cause. There you go.
You're a rebel without a cause.
I need a cause. So I was thinking about talking to the WIT leaders here too, if they were interested in maybe doing a Salesforce Saturday. I've never done them. I'd be interested to be in a room with other humans and doing Trailhead. And so, yeah, I need a cause again.
Well, there's a goal for you. I like it. What kind of, now that you're in Denver, what kind of favorite things you got going on in your life?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you, I am very super excited again to be around all these great breweries and craft beers in general, that you really can't go anywhere without finding a lot of great beers. And this little brewery opened down the street, and we went there the other day, and really nice, and had a story to tell, a very big, beautiful open space. You go down to the little tiny market that doesn't even have a name. The sign just says liquor, and they have a great, you know what I mean? And they have a great beer selection. So I'm just like so happy to be a part of that. And all the local breweries, they're kid friendly. A lot of them do the food trucks, so they don't, have to deal with the overhead costs of, I'm guessing, a kitchen and all is the reason. And then they're just beer people here, and people are just nice. It's so nice. Everyone's nice again. I really enjoy it.
That's fun. That's a good day. Just having a beer.
Yeah. What is one of your super faves, my dear?
So I went to the used bookstore this weekend because my husband was gone, and so I had time to just sit around and read a book and do nothing, which was wonderful. And I still love physical books, but not full price. And sometimes the library is hard because I can't get immediate gratification. The reason I love this used bookstore, the whole way you get credit is sort of still like ninja wizard magic to me. But I came back to a series, the Sue Grafton A is for Alibi alphabet series, that I hadn't been to in a while because I caught up, and then I had to wait like a year for a book, and so I forgot about it. And they actually stopped me from rebuying a book. I don't know if you've ever done that. I've like reread, and then been like, oh, but I forget the end because I have a horrible memory, so it's okay. But so yeah, it was really nice. They stopped me from buying the same book again because I go to the same place, and they keep track of me for my credits. So I got W and X, and then I've still got to wait longer for Y and Z. So that was nice fun.
Wait,
I tend to
26 books in this series.
Yeah, but I mean, she's been doing it since like before I was literally alive. Like, it's been a while.
I cannot make that commitment. Like,
I mean, at this point, it'd be interesting to start over and start again. But the other thing that's interesting, I mean, while I'm talking about the series, it's a woman detective, but it's actually based in like through the 70s and 80s. So it's very interesting because she's like using the phone book, going to the library. Right. Going to the city records office and checking her answering machine.
And the card catalog.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, like, just how life is so different. And these books are so really entertaining and applicable, I think. So that was my super awesome weekend of reading a book with my dogs in my own home.
So nice and relaxing, though.
Yeah,
I love
sometimes,
that.
I mean, I was procrastinating on other things, but, can't win them all.
That's okay. You do what you can. Okay, my other super fave. So when I left Colorado, I was kind of just getting into yoga, and there was a couple studios I really liked around here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when Core Power started coming around, and it was, I don't know, it just seemed really like commercial and not kumbaya and kind of not what you wanted. So I had this kind of predisposed prejudice, I guess, against them. So when I moved home, I just couldn't find any studios around here. And my girlfriend was like, oh, go in. I was like, well, fine. But they've changed so much, and I'm thoroughly enjoying them. There's total kumbaya-ness. They have like intention setting. They have hot classes. But my most favorite, which I've been doing, is they also have like a circuit training, like randomly be like different stations with weights.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to mix it up. I can't currently walk very well. I'm blown out.
Your core quads. Has no power?
Oh my gosh. I can't. Because I overdo it. And the teacher was like, you really push yourself. I said, right. But then did you see 5 seconds later when I couldn't even complete because I pushed too hard over there? And she's like, well, balance. I was like, I'm trying. But anyways, I take away my negative comments about them. I think they're great. They have cool teachers, and they have a nice mix of like, let's be zen and stretch, and then let's just be bananas and lift weights, which I'm a fan of both.
This sounds wonderfully bipolar. I like it.
Yay! It's me.
Everyone has their moment. That is a great segue. Speaking of which, I listened to a podcast of Anna Kendrick. She was a guest on Nerdist, and she talked about her book. So I have access to ebooks, and so really just all books is my goal. Audiobooks. And so I've been listening to that in the car. So I started her book, Scrappy Little Nobody, and she reads it herself. So it's interesting to hear.
I love when they read it themselves.
Yeah, it is interesting, like insight into people, even though as an actor, like I've heard her voice before, but she started in theater. So it's interesting how like she probably is actually singing in Pitch Perfect. She hasn't gotten there yet in the book, but
she is. And she's also singing in Trolls. And yeah, I learned that too. She's like super theater trained, like great voice, and had no idea.
Yeah.
I adore her. I think she's amazing.
Okay.
Have you ever seen her Deep Thoughts? Or
no,
Random Thoughts? Or
I've seen like those clickbait articles of her tweets, of lists of her tweets and stuff that are great.
I'll see if I can find it and link to the show notes. It's a cute little, I think it's like maybe like a little YouTube video of her just like gazing out like at beaches and randomness. And it's some of her just super random thoughts.
Yeah.
It's super
See,
funny.
I can totally envision that, even though I probably haven't seen it. But I think we've had a good combo of books and beer in this chat. And I'm super happy to know you, and that it's spring.
Yes.
And that it's Southeast Dreamin'.
It is Southeast Dreamin'. Stop listening to this and go pay attention.
And if you're not there, you're missing out. Go on Twitter, #SED17. Check out the fun.
Fun.
I mean, as long as we're sending you to do things, I feel like we should also send you to iTunes to give us a review, so then other people can find us and whatever else we're supposed to tell you to do. It's also Tripod Month in March. Huh? That might have been February, but I'm pretty sure it's March. I heard it on another podcast, TRY Pod.
Wait.
Tripod. It's like recommending podcasts to other people. So like try this podcast. Or like,
because I was like, first of all, tripods are not that awesome to even have a day. How are you going to tell me that a tripod gets a whole month?
At least it's not the short month, February. I mean, it's an awesome month because it's my birthday month, but So that's all the plugs I have. Do you got anything? Tripod. So it worked. It was funny because at Salesforce Saturday we were talking about podcasts, and so it was fun.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Well,
I just like talking to you.
Thanks for showing up. I like talking to you. I'm going to have stickers at Southeast Dreamin'. So if you are listening to this, come find me and I'll give you a sticker.
To-wit sticker.
That's to-wit. I like it. And stay witty.